Hi, everybody. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, and I wanted to tell you about a very interesting call that we handled as a police and fire department today at about 2:15. We got a call from somebody who reported seeing a bear near fire station number 4. That's the fire station up by Vineyard and Oxnard Boulevard. And the caller reported that he saw a bear in the area. So our officers responded. Of course, we have, in all my years here, 26 years, I have never seen a bear in the city of Oxnard, but that's the call. So we responded, and sure enough, we did indeed find a bear that was going at that point down Vineyard Boulevard, going westbound, and he crossed the street as our officers were monitoring and kind of not pursuing him, but keeping an eye on this bear to see what he was up to. He went across the street and into the apartment complexes and the condominium complexes there on the north side of Vineyard. He then went up a eucalyptus tree. Our officers were on his tail at that point, making sure that they kept him in sight while they called fish and game personnel from the state of California. He went up the tree. After a short period of time, he came down that tree and went over a block wall that borders this condominium complex with Santa Clara Cemetery. So he went over the wall, 8-foot block wall. Evidently, he went over quite easily from what we've been told by officers who saw it. Went over this wall and onto the grounds of the cemetery. He then ran a couple of hundred yards and went up a second tree. And this is kind of in the southeast corner of the cemetery property. So this is close to Vineyard and actually toward Orchard, if you're familiar with the area. The bear's in the tree. The fish and game and the officers went over to the tree to make sure that he was not going to take off running again. They decided to use a tranquilizer gun. So the fish and game personnel fired a tranquilizer at the bear. They weren't sure if they hit him initially because of the branches of the trees. It was a little bit difficult to tell. But eventually they were able to get at least one tranquilizer dart into the bear. We waited at that point, and it was about maybe 10 minutes later, we could see that the bear was getting a little groggy, which of course was the goal. But the concern at this point is that the bear had continued to climb higher and higher in the tree, and he was now about 25 feet off the ground. And we were very concerned about him getting so groggy that he would fall out of the tree and hurt himself in that fall. So we responded by calling Oxnard Fire Department. Now, in the meantime, this had become a very, very large media story. We were getting calls from all the Los Angeles stations. There were at least 3 news helicopters up above from Los Angeles. It was just kind of a chaotic scene. A lot of people paying a lot of attention. And maybe a couple of hundred bystanders now had gathered in the area around the cemetery fence to look in to see what was happening. Fire department came out and they brought in one of their ladder trucks. They put the ladder up into the tree adjacent to the bear. The tree was pretty thick, so they had to get a chainsaw. They cut several branches down so they could have better access to the bear. And the plan at that point was to build a harness, kind of improvise a harness, and put it around the bear and then lift the bear out using the ladder kind of as a crane and then putting the bear safely on the ground. We did not want to hurt this bear. So sure enough, fire department personnel responded. They went up, they did all this, and a fire captain by the name of Roy Peacock volunteered to go up the ladder and be with the bear in the tree, which was a pretty remarkable thing, as you can see by the footage. After a few minutes, they were able to get this harness around the bear. They decided to try and lift the bear up out of the tree, except that as they started to do this, the bear started to slip a little bit out of the harness, so they had to say, time out, let's do this again. So they repositioned the harness around the bear in a more secure way. Again, this is a little bit trial by ear. They're obviously not used to doing this with bears. They're used to doing this with people. So they tried a second time to lift the bear, and sure enough, the harness was in good shape and it was holding, and they were able to lift the bear and put him safely on the ground. Once on the ground, fish and game personnel took the bear, and they are going to make sure he's physically okay, and then they're going to release him back into the wild. So we had a lot of excitement this morning in the city of Oxnard. If you live anywhere in the north end, you might have seen helicopters or heard helicopters up and about. Those were not our helicopters. They were not sheriff's helicopters. They were news media helicopters covering this for virtually every channel in the Los Angeles area, Santa Barbara, and of course all of our local media. So the good news is we've got no one hurt in this. I got to give complete credit and accolades to the Oxnard Fire Department for doing a remarkable job in this situation. Just absolutely a wonderful job to save this bear. So we're happy about that, and hopefully that bear can settle back into his civilization up there in the woods above Ojai, and hopefully he'll be fine. So that's the excitement, and I'm David Keith. This has been Straight to You.